Brokey Schmokey Captain. I hate the captain. I'm not in the mood for it right now. Diver. I hate the diver. I'm not in the mood for that. Mage! Hey! I'm in the mood for that. I'm really in the mood for that. Icicle time. We could also go for the taser though. Like, I love the icicle. I think it's an insanely powerful weapon, but this is harvesting. It's decent. Oh, but you're so much better. Let's do it. I gotta go to the doctor, by the way, very soon. I haven't called them yet because I'm always really lazy with that type of stuff. Like, I think about it, that I want to do it, then I forget about it, and then I'm also like, ah, yeah, you know, the things will just get better, you know. I'm not dead yet, so who cares? Right? That's my way of thinking. It's actually not that funny. Like, what started happening was... Like... I would say close to a year ago. Like, 8 months ago, okay? I started having... like, a stinging pain in my chest when I would laugh. I think I even, in some videos, I said, like, I'm not allowed to laugh because I have, like, a stinging pain in my chest. Which is really annoying, because I tend to laugh a lot, right? And that actually kept on going. Surprisingly long. Where I was like, huh, you know, it's not normal that you have that. But sometimes, you know, fishy stuff happens, and then it just goes by, and all is good stuff, you know, don't really care about it. Oops, I died, yep, just happens. But pretty much... I thought, I was pretty certain it's because of, like, stress, you know. End of last year was quite stressful. There was a lot going on with Mega Bonk, you know, like 2 videos a day, very long videos. And then it got into the resetting for, like, good RNG runs with still 2 videos a day, which was, like, the most absurd part, because it took forever. Like, I think I made, like 20 hours a day working on YouTube videos. Which meant very little sleep. But you know, the reason I tell you about that is, I attributed these effects entirely to that, you know, and it actually got better, you know, afterwards. It went away mostly, or I got used to it, that could also be, but the stinging pain actually went away. The stabby feeling, you know, when I would laugh. Now what started happening, like 4 months ago, but like only once a week or so, was... sometimes when I, like, breathe, you know, I just take a breath, like a deeper breath, sometimes just taking a breath, especially when coughing, it's bad. Or, for example, do you know that when you drink a cold beverage that has bubbles in it, and they do like this, you do the sudden breathe in of air because of that you're drinking? You know, it's almost like a hiccup, but reversed. Do you know that feeling? When you drink something cold with bubbles. That happened to me recently, and I borderline almost died. That was a pain I do not wish on anyone. And, because it's not stinging pain what I have now, but it's rather like a pressure pain, you know, as if you... I don't even know where it is, okay? So I can only try to describe it, that you can imagine it, but imagine you have your lung, right? And it's like a balloon. And now you take like a solid ball of iron, and you push that into, or like right slightly into the lungs, into this balloon, and now you suddenly breathe in, and it extends rapidly, right? So you fully, like, push into this balloon with the ball. And this is kind of what it feels like. But it was only, like, once a week, you know? It was nothing bad. Well, now it's, like, every day. So I should be... like, even right now, you know, I feel it, and it's like, maybe I should actually see a doctor about this, you know? Because this doesn't sound quite healthy. So, like, I can't really put my finger on it why, but this doesn't sound quite healthy, you know? It's especially bad when I lay down. Like, what I usually do, I have a ritual in the evening, you know, to tune off. I just watch some random brain rot shorts or stuff, or YouTube videos or animes in bed. You know, a couple of hours, maybe 1, 2, 3 hours, depending on how excited I get about it. Which, to be fair, usually only happens with animes. That I watch, like, way too long. But if I sit up after that, dude, I'm like, okay, it's not that bad, okay? It's not that bad, but it's actually quite close to it. Like, the pain I have there is like, oh my god. And I'm like, well, it's been a couple of months, you know, it didn't go away. It's about time that I see a doctor about this, you know? So I'll call a doctor anytime now. Within the next 2 months, I'll do it. Nah, seriously, I do have some serious concern about it. Because stuff like that is very dangerous. You know, it may be nothing at all. It could also be something that can literally kill you. So, you know. And one thing that I have on my mind is, I did smoke for a very, very, very long time. Like, I started smoking when I was like 14. And quite a bit. You know, like very quickly it went to like 1 package a day. Like, very quickly was like with 16, I would say. And then it suddenly went to 2 packages a day. And since 2022, I no longer smoke cigarettes. Instead, I went over to this Icicles stuff, you know, because, well, I just came across it. They had the menthol, it's called here. I don't know what it's called in English, you know, this fresh taste that they get. And this completely replaced cigarettes for me, which is still not great, you know. But at least it's not as harmful as cigarettes, but I'm not downplaying that, you know. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm doing something more healthy than something really bad, so that's good. No, that's not what I mean. The only thing I mean is, because of the amount that I was smoking, I'm really glad that I found something that is not as bad, because it's not as bad, but it's still bad. Duh. You know, because some people, I think when you say that you just want to downplay it, no. I mean, some people also just want to downplay it. They're like, oh, there are worse options out there, you know. It's like, yeah, I mean, just because you can die doesn't mean it's good to get punched in the face, right? Like, what kind of logic is that? You know? But yeah. So my point is, because if something happens associated to my lungs, I'm like, well, I've smoked for a solid 14 years. Cigarettes. So, yeah. That's the stuff on my mind. But let's see what happens. Once I decide to actually go to the doctor, I'll do it. Like, I'm still like, but it may just stop, you know, then I don't have to go there. I don't mind going to the doctor, by the way. Like, I'm not someone who is like, oh, I don't want to call the doctor, the evil doctor, or I'm scared of calling the doctor. Nah. That's not it. I'm really just of the camp that says, well, I haven't died yet, you know? I haven't died yet. So technically speaking, all is fine, right? That is my side that I'm in. That was also the most annoying part for me always when I was sick at work. That you have to, like, call the doctor, you know, and get this paper of them. But I did have a strong sense of, I don't want to go sick to work, because I don't want to, like, infect others, you know? So I was not one of those that are like sick and then infect every single person there, and it's annoying. My only problem was that I really just didn't want to go. Though I did go in that case, because I needed the paper. It depends, like oftentimes what I did is, I just like was sick for 2 days. And then I went again. Because only at 3 days we had to like go to the doctor and submit one of these papers. Which also looks very suspicious, right, when you're always sick for 2 days. But for me, the legitimate reason was I was sick. I just didn't want to go to the doctor and get the paper, so I have to come back after 2 days. But yeah. Attack speed. Speed is good. I would say HP is better. A little bit of lifesteal. Armor. Hey, can we upgrade our weapon actually? Like, is that a thing that we do here in this house? Or do we just not do that? Ask. And your roll is your normal damage 100%? Yeah, that's 48% curse. Honestly, I was told so many times the minimum curse level is 50%. And I keep seeing we have less than 50%, so it's like, well, glad I listened to the YouTube comments, you know. Yeah. You know. And then people are surprised why I don't want to believe them. The bad thing is just, there are knowledgeable people, and they are accurate, you know, so you want to believe them. But you never know, is this a doofus or is this a knowledgeable person that actually understands his stuff? And it gets really bad when someone makes a false conclusion out of something and tells you this is how it is, not this is what they think how it is. There's a difference between observing something and testing something. Because testing means you made sure that you have the different test cases to confirm it's true, right? Because in observation, you can see a ball flying, and a dude standing there, so you will say, yep, dude stood there, ball is flying, he threw it. But it could have just been a bird pooping out a ball. Right? Right? How would you know? You don't know. Huh? Exactly. Okay, but like, how bad are our items? We don't need the piers, we have piers. Dude, this is so bad. I don't hate it, I don't love it as well. Bonus money is always good. HP regeneration, elemental damage is kind of nice. But yeah. I remember, I think... I just remember that. The worst... That's such a stupid story. The worst pain I ever had, because I was like, what was the latest point I went to a doctor? So, there was one where I started having like stomach pain at the bottom left of my stomach, you know. And I was kind of chill about it, because I know bottom right, don't mess around with that, that could be the blinddarm. I don't know what it's called, but it's a thing that can explode inside of your body, right? That many people have removed. But it was on the bottom left side, so I was like, okay, it can't be that stuff, so all is good, you know. And it started like stinging and being painful, and it's like, yeah, but you know, maybe I just have to poop. Like, sure, I do poop and nothing changes, but it could be that or something. And this was a time where I actually gained a lot of health after the first year of YouTube, because I was literally just work, then YouTube, then sleep for a couple of hours. And I literally mean sleep for a couple of hours. Because I think my average sleep time there was like 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. Like over an entire year, then full-time job, then YouTube, back to sleep. That's it. That was all I did. But yeah, I gained a lot of weight there because I like... First of all, sleep is actually quite important for balancing your weight. Second of all, I obviously didn't, you know, like, make sure that I eat properly or something, or you know, like, healthy as well, because I had a lot of quick snacks to get in the stuff that I need. And, so one thing was weight. This matters for the story a little bit. Does it? Probably. This was also like the peak of me smoking the most. I think at that point I was like at 3 packages. This was before I switched. And I got really bad coughs, which was probably combined with like gaining weight. At that point I was like at like 90 kilograms, you know. That's like the most I've ever weighed in my entire life, like by far. And I smoked the most, so more coughs. But I was like waking up at night because of coughs, and I was constantly coughing. Like, I had to cut out so many coughs in my recordings, because I would cough like every 5 minutes. But... Dude, I hate you, actually. I'll banish you. But yeah, okay, back to the story. So, pain, right? Bottom left. But totally fine. And this kept on going for a couple of days. It got a little bit worse. It got quite worse, actually. And then one day... I wake up in the morning. At this point, I still didn't go to the doctor, right? Because, again, it doesn't kill me, right? So it's fine. I wake up in one morning, and I'm laying in my bed, and it was... I have never felt this pain. I have felt a lot of pain in my life. Okay, I had my arm sliced open by a knife. So, well, to be fair, that actually wasn't that painful, because I think adrenaline. But, I've done really stupid things in my life that really, really, really hurt a lot. Because I'm someone who is just like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, for example, we have a gate. You know, these that you open up upwards that cars can't drive through, but then you open it up that they can drive through. Not the ones that open outwards. And Dex, drunk at night, decides, you know what, I'll climb up that. I got like halfway up. We're talking about like 3 meters or something. 4 meters, I think. Probably 3 meters, actually. Halfway up. And then I just dropped down on the concrete floor. Or, you know, I had a little bit to drink in school, as you do in Germany. And we went swimming, which is a great combination, by the way. And I decided I have to do a Bauchklatscher from the 5-meter tower, where you land like on your stomach, you know. I actually like pushed out my stomach to land on it, which actually hurt quite a lot. And then a mate of mine said, like, what I was doing, because I was laughing, and I said, yeah, well, I did a Bauchklatscher, you know, landed on the stomach from the 5-meter tower, and he was like, no way, you didn't do that. And I was like, yeah, I did. Like, didn't you see it? And he's like, no, like, I wasn't here. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it again. So I just did it again. That's the decks, you know, the younger decks at least. Not the nowadays decks, but the younger decks. And then I did it again. Okay, wait, back to the story. Sorry, hospital story, right. I didn't even say it's about hospital. So I wake up, okay? Insane stinging pain, never felt this before. I would say the worst pain up until then was maybe a 4 out of 10. This was a 10 out of 10. I want to call it an 11 out of 10. Because this made me unable to move. Like, it was such bad pain. I tried to roll myself over from my back onto my side with my arm, and the pain was so strong in the bottom left of my stomach that I couldn't even move my arm. I have never experienced paralyzing pain in other body parts than where the pain is in. This was absurd. So, eventually, like, I was laying there for like, probably half an hour, I would say. Though, like, with pain, you know, everything feels way longer. It could have been, like, literally 3 minutes and it felt like an hour. But I think it was for quite a long time. And then I just forced myself to sit up because I was like, dude, probably gotta go to the toilet, right? That was legitimately... No, I hoped it would fix it because I was like, oh, you're deep shit now, Dex. What did you do? You're in deep shit now. So I hoped they would fix it. And I managed to get to the side, and then I rolled myself off the bed and fell on the floor. And I think this falling, you know, helped me a little bit to move again. And then I crawled to the toilet and sat on there. And I shit you not. First of all, nothing happened on the toilet, you know, because I thought maybe I just have to go to the toilet, right? Nope, it wasn't that. Because at least nothing happened. Maybe the pain also just prevented it. But this pain was so bad, I started sweating like crazy on the toilet. Again, without doing anything, because sweating stories on the toilet is, I think, someone, like every guy has experienced at least once in their life. You know, with the big one. No, but that didn't happen. The pain was so bad, I considered slamming my head into the wall as hard as I can repeatedly until I pass out. This is how bad it was. And I have a very high pain tolerance. Okay? And I mean that, you know? I've done a bunch of fighting sport in my life. I had a bunch of fights in my life. I had a bunch of, like, bullshit, as I said, that I've done in my life. I have a high pain tolerance. And that thing, dude, even just thinking about it now, I'm like, oh god, like, I don't want to think about it. That is like, ouch, you know? Again, I have nothing remotely close to being comparable to that moment. That is, like, the entire sequence there. So, I had my phone with me on the toilet, right? So, I wrote my brother, and I was like, hey, so, I'm dying. Could you take me to the hospital, please? Because I didn't know what to do and what, like, needs to be done. So, he was like, okay. This was, like, at 12, like, in the middle of the day. Right, no, wait, I was there for hours. Because this was at lunchtime, you know, 12 in the middle of the day. And I woke up to the shocking pain at like 9 AM. So this was 3 hours later. Which shows how long it took for me to do anything. I didn't wait, by the way. I just literally couldn't do anything because I was pretty much paralyzed. But he took me there. Do you know how long it took me for them to look at anything? Just tell me BS. Do you know how long this took? I got taken in. Like, we were sitting in the emergency Chigamalik. And they started, like, scanning my body and stuff. At 6 PM. Half past 6 PM. Do you understand how much I was dying? Like, do you understand how much... Like, for over 6 hours sitting there. Now, to be fair... You know, it was a little bit of a bad day because that hospital doesn't have blood transfers. Like, it doesn't have blood to do blood transfers. And there were, like, accidentally 2 grandmas that fell down the stairs and both were bleeding heavily out of their head. Like, they have nothing to do with each other. It just happened twice, which is weird at the same time. And there was a huge biker crash. Like, a huge, a car crashed into a biker, then another car crashed into the car that crashed into the biker, you know. The car dudes were... I actually don't know what was with them, but they weren't talked about, so I assume they were kind of fine. But the biker dude got, like... Okay, I don't know what happened. Like, I would need to talk, like, make up something. I don't know what happened, but the dude lost a lot of... Like, a ton of blood, like a half a liter or a liter or something like that. But again, they have no blood, so they needed to transfer him to another city, like 30 minutes away. which, if someone is right now dying, same for the Grandmas, by the way, if someone is right now dying, not really cool, also not with our traffic to that city, because it's really bad. Like, that drive 30 minutes easily takes you 1.5 hours. So they needed to, they needed to get a helicopter, but the hospital there doesn't have a helicopter pad to land on, like anywhere close to it, because it's on top of a mountain. So, you know, I got really, well, I listened to all of that story, you know, because I had nothing to do. That wasn't funny. Okay. This is the worst weapon levels I've ever had in my life, by the way. So, end of story, though. He put this gel on my stomach, and he tried to look into it if he sees something. But he was like, dude, stomach so fucked up, like I can't really see anything, you know, because you have all of the sausage stomach that whirls around. It's so impossible to tell if you see something. Based on the location and the pain I feel when he pressures that, which was a lot of fun to do that, it's most likely, like, because they also took my blood, and it had, like, higher values for... Oh my god, what is that in English? I don't even know it in German anymore. Entzündungsstoffe or something like that, you know, when you have an infection in there. And his theory was, because of the weight gain and the coughing, weight gain is more pressure, and coughing is that something can rip if you cough, which usually is more likely to happen in the lungs, but it can also happen down there. So his assumption is, but he has no clue, right? His assumption is something ripped, it got inflammation in there, and this caused all of the pain for me, which I was like, phew, okay, it will heal, I'm fine. You know, all is good. It's nothing critical. You know, I can live with that. Luckily, that was the end of the story, you know, so nothing more happened after that. But, he did suggest... No, he advised against, but he did say, if I really wanted to know it, we could make a CTR, or what it's called, you know, the X-ray. But he did say, before he wants to blue light my balls, maybe I should reconsider, like, waiting. Because it's really not a healthy thing to do, you know, that can cause a lot of issues, so he would really advise against it, and I'm like, you know what? That guy, I don't need that. Luckily, it did get better. After a couple of days, and it wasn't, like, even in the evening when they took me in, it was already, like, better, pain-wise. But yeah, that was the worst experience I've ever had. Maybe I should call the doctor, you know? Now that I think about it, I think back to that pain. Maybe I should call the doctor right away. I'll do it tomorrow, it's fine. You know, I still have to edit the video, so... priorities. Like, I'm obviously not prioritizing the video over my health. I'm just, like, the extra point is I'm too lazy, so I'm finding an excuse. How are we doing? I never looked at the numbers here because I was telling this amazing story. We won crit. Actually, I won attack speed. Finally. Hey. Dude, I've never had this bad luck getting my weapons up. This is insane. Sure. How much elemental? We have 61 elemental damage. Holy moly, we're insane. Okay, so the only thing missing was attack speed. Like, I think we have more than enough damage. The only thing we're missing is actually killing enemies. I'm currently trying to think what was like the third, well, the second most pain experience I've had in the past. I don't think there is anything worth naming, because this one was so bad. Everything else is just like, yeah, I would take that like 10 times in a row over this once. But one thing that was a really fun story that could have ended really badly was, when I was younger, I got into inline skating. Which I really enjoyed. And the dude that taught me how to do it, he did that for years. And one of the first drives we ever did, we went on top of the mountain in our city. Well, it's more like a village, you know. Well, in German, we have like really of course, right? Of course. We have very specific measurements that determine whether you're a city or whether you are a village, or... There are so many names, by the way, like for things that something is called. You can't just call yourself something. You need to hit certain requirements. And that's how that works here. Yeah, Leck mir doch die Eier, Alter. Das ist so kacke. And we went on top of the mountain. And we drove down. And I had to open up my arms because I hit such a speed. And I couldn't drive that yet, you know. I could do enough because obviously we did a little bit before that. Like, I could do enough to drive, but I couldn't even turn properly without falling over. So I went on a mountain. It's very steep down. And I had to open up my arms to keep my balance. And the irony was, because I opened up my arm, the arms, I had more body surface, right? And the wind coming against me was so bad that I started, like, chittering around left and right. And I tried to, like, go against it, but then the other arm got pushed back, because obviously the wind is the same on that arm. And I had to do that. And then I had to take a sharp turn to the left side, which I still don't understand how I even managed to do that. And this is where it got really bad. Okay, let me actually take out paint. Okay, I gotta show you that. So let's switch over here. Let's hope I'm not showing something sensitive, but I don't think I have something. So this is pretty much where it went down the mountain, okay, like this. Sideways. Like, the mountain starts here at the top. And we went, like, down, then here was a turn. This is a very long street, by the way. It just looks tiny because I don't have space. And then it goes down here. And what looks like a slide is actually... This went, like, really steep down, okay? Like, this here, I don't know how steep it was. For me, it was super steep, but it was a normal street going down a hill. This was, like, the shortcut, because this street here, like, continues like this, you know, and then eventually goes here. And here it goes out, and here, and then over here, you know, like this. But this, like, continues endlessly with the same steepness as before until it reaches this point. But this is for the houses in between where you can drive down with a car. And here is a stopping point that you can't exit to the main street. But there's also, like, this went on way further. So this meant this was insanely steep to catch up with, like, this street here, right? I think you can imagine and understand. Now I turned around and, you know, shot down onto the main street. And I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. This is a heavily driven street. This is like the only main street through the entire village. Over here is like a very big city. Over here is a big city. This is where all the cars drive through. So what I did is, I drove against this metal pole that you can actually, like, you could take that out technically, but okay, who cares? Why do I tell you about that? But it's a metal pole preventing cars from driving through. I wrapped my arm around that, and then I started sliding around it, like, scratching over the floor with my knees. And I don't know how that happened, but the most damage I took were a few scratches on my knees. I slid around that like 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know how much it was, but I had so much speed. I just kept, like, circling around it while my arm was hooked on it. My arm actually hurt quite a bit because I took that full force, right? Like, my arm holding against it so I don't hit the street. My knees were surprisingly fine. Like, they were bleeding, yeah. They were scratched, yeah, but not more than me just normally falling down. So I was really surprised by that. I expected my flesh and stuff on the knees ripped off to the bones because of how bad that was. But yeah, those are the deck stories. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. See you the next time. Bye-bye.